Is it fear or is it desire? We're going to be taking a look at that question on today's video. My name is Chad Welch. Welcome to Chad Welch Lifestyles YouTube channel. If this is your first time here, I welcome you. And if you have seen me and you are subscribed to me, welcome back. Today, we are going to get into looking at the difference between fear and desire. And they sound like they're worlds apart, but they're actually very close together. And that's why a lot of people have difficulty navigating the emotional states around fear versus being in desire. So this is a really powerful topic and talk, and I'm looking forward to diving in. I'm going to be sharing some visuals and a chart that I made. We're going to actually be looking at how this corresponds to our levels of consciousness in the way that we're living our lives. So on Chad Welch Lifestyle, we talk everything purpose, prosperity, performance, and personal power. And so for today's talk, this fear and desire definitely overarches into all of those segments because we're either operating from a nervous system that is empowering, that we're able to move forward and take action from, or we're in a fight or flight or a fawn or fit in response from the more limited perspective of our nervous system, which is keeping us from taking action. When we come up against an edge, when we talk about an edge, it's like that moment or that part of your process where you come up against and you freeze, or there's something in your emotional body or your nervous system in your body that feels like, oh, we're getting too close to the edge. We're going to fall off the edge. If we go further, we're going to stop. And so you either go into a fight or flight or a fawn and fit in, which is a different way that the nervous system reacts in a fear response. Or if we are feeling that fear response come up in that moment with our nervous system and we hit that edge, we also have a choice to say, okay, I'm coming up on an edge here. And so I can feel that resistance. I feel the fear. And the fear is just your nervous system trying to keep you safe. It's not a mindset thing so much as it's an emotional feeling body experience. And so if you can really look at it from that perspective, it takes a lot of the blame and the shame and in the headiness of that situation out, and it helps you just get into the body and know that there's nothing wrong with you. It's just that your nervous system, your body is here to primarily keep you safe and to keep you surviving. And so there's something that the nervous system doesn't feel safe coming up against at that edge. So we have two different options here, or opportunities, as I like to call them. When you are in a fear-based experience, this usually happens when we're starting something new, when there is maybe an opportunity and we're not sure if we're ready or we have the right resources or we need more training, or we're about to embark on an adventure and we have no idea how it's going to look or what it's going to look like or even how things are going to come together. It's natural for us to have a nervous system response that puts us into a fear mode, which is just trying to protect us. But we also have a tension and a resistance and a nervous system response when we have a desire. A desire is a spark of creative energy that is actually trying to get us into the direction of what we really want, what our deep desires are, what our wants and our hopes and our dreams for ourselves, for our life, for our business. And so when this happens, that fear, that desire feeling deep in the gut, around the heart, it can feel a little bit overwhelming. It has an intensity to it. And so the nervous system system can sometimes mistake the desire for a fear response, or your mind can actually interpret what it's feeling as fear when it's actually desire. So, what I wanted to do today is just take a look at this and break it down into some mechanics so that we can actually start to see how this works. And then we're going to correlate it to the levels of consciousness and the emotional scale that goes along with that, so that we can start to bring these pieces together and form a more clear picture of what's happening in the moment. It's really about the mechanics. And once you can master these mechanics, you can really become masterful and intentional and deliberate with your life and with your what you're creating, because you can tell if you're in fear or your desire, and you can actually take yourself from fear to desire deliberately, um, on the spot. So I'm actually going to pull up my screen here, and we're going to take a look at this handy dandy chart that I've made. Okay, just move me up a little bit. So hopefully you guys can see this. This is a chart that I made actually a couple of years ago, and this was something that was really coming through at the time, and I wasn't sure exactly what this was going to be, if it was going to be a program or if it was just sort of a visual. And this is the fear versus desire chart. And so on the left-hand side, you can see that we have fear, and a lot of our fear-based programming is experiential, based off of things that have happened in the past, memories, traumas, times where we were rejected, or we tried something new and it didn't work, or it didn't feel good. And so it made an imprint in the nervous system. And so fear is a very contracting energy as it's played out right here. It inhibits, it defeats, it repels, it keeps you stuck, it keeps you small, but it keeps you safe as far as the nervous system goes. Now, desire here on the right-hand side, this is really leading you into your future, that future you, and the hopes and dreams and desires of that future you. It's an allowing energy. It's expansive. It opens. It's an achieving. It's a moving forward. It's a very attractive energy. When you get into the frequency of desire, it starts to open you up to a very magnetic frequency and emotional state. Now, we have the present moment here in the center. The present moment is always the present moment now. It's the now moment. And so when we are navigating the fear and desire, we're always staying in the present moment, because when we're in the present moment, we can be neutral. We can just be the neutral, aware observer, and we can observe ourselves and our body and our response to allow ourselves to really feel the nuances of these frequencies and this energy. Fear, as I said before, a lot of times gets built up over time and conditioned in our bodies and our nervous system and our thoughts, because we tend to replay traumas and things that felt like a failure, or when things didn't work out for us, and it gets to be on a loop. And so when we're in desire, moving over to the right, this is a remembrance of successfulness, of being successful. Our natural state and ability is to be expanding and growing and learning and achieving and feel successful. And so what we want to do is start to look at the restrictive conditions of fear. Fear says, I have to do this, based on like survival, right? I can't do this. I wish I could do this, but I can't. There's always a limitation there. When you're in desire, there's a want, there's a hope, there's a feeling of confidence, there's a doingness, there's an energy of being able to connect to some kind of energy with willpower or ambition to grab onto that and move forward. So those are really the big differences in fear and desire. as I said, fear is more limited here on the left, desire is expanded, and we tend to have distress, disease, and disintegration when we're in fear all the time. It keeps us small, it keeps us in lack. And when we're in desire, we can access success, well being, growth, expansion, all of those. Whenever we're in fear, think about there's some part of your personal power that's trapped. It's like it's come up against an edge and it can't and it won't move. And then when we can move through that edge and come on the other side of the edge into our desire, that opens up available energy. That's the creative flow of energy that moves us forward. So with this chart, this is a powerful tool. This is a tool I use with my clients to start to teach your body and mind to identify when you're in fear and when you're in desire. How does the fear feel? How does the desire feel? Where do you feel it in your body? Does it feel contracted? Does it feel like a limitation? Does it feel expanded? Does it feel like a path forward? Is there a movement? Is there motion? Is there energy, or is it stagnant? That's a really great way that you can start to tell. And what I want to do now is keeping that chart in mind. By the way, if you want a copy of that chart, I have a file of all of my charts in my Facebook group. If you want the link to that Facebook group, you can either message me or I'll leave it in the comments below. Love to have you in my Facebook group where we talk, like I said, all things prosperity, performance, personal power. And it's a really powerful resource group and discussions. I go live in there, and I have a lot of other resources like this chart in there. Okay, so I'm not sure how many people have heard of the Hawkins scale. More about this, but we're just going to take a small little look here. There we go. Okay, a short look here at this scale. Now, you can see that this scale starts at 0 and goes all the way up to 1,000. Shame being the lowest frequency on the scale, and enlightenment, which is the Christ consciousness, being 1,000 on the scale. Now, we're not going to go through this entire scale. This is another talk for another time. But this scale is so powerful because we can look. I was blown away when I saw this the first time. Desire and fear, if you look here on the left, are right next to each other. Desire is just above fear. Now you see where it says 200 for power first appears? We have to climb this scale in different areas of our life at different times. We're not always operating on one frequency band. This can be sort of a up and down with depending on different situations and different times of your life. But generally speaking, fear, worry, and anxiety moving up to desire, you see it's 100 up to 125. So it's easy to mistake being in fear for being in desire, being desire for fear, because they're so close together. But the difference is you're moving closer to opening up and actualizing your personal power, that 200 threshold there. That's why it's so important to identify where your desire lies and to teach yourself how to feel that in your body. Because if you are in desire and you're mistakenly thinking that you're in fear, you may deliberately not be taking action because something doesn't feel safe. But the not feeling safe feeling is actually a flame of desire. It's like that burning willpower within you that wants something, that craves something, that desires something. And for a lot of people, they can be very disconnected from that feeling. They can really be disconnected from what desire even feels like, or even knowing what they want. And so this is really a powerful way to distinguish between the two, is to really feel that nuance. The fear is like a holding back, and the desire is actually just a higher expression of the base feeling of fear, but with energy available to move higher, to move. There's energy behind it. So again, I'm not going to go through that entire chart today. That's another talk for another time. But what I wanted to really drive home and to just start this conversation, I'm going to be talking about this a lot more, is that you have to condition and teach your nervous system how to feel and distinguish when it's in fear versus when you're actually in a desire frequency. It's a big difference once you master this. But if you're still feeling your way into this and you haven't created that somatic connection, it's going to be easy to maybe sometimes get the two confused and to be in desire, but you're actually interpreting it as fear or vice versa. So really important just to sit with this, to feel where you're feeling things in the body, and to give yourself room to contemplate all of this and to play with it and to really master these mechanics. One of the things that I do with my clients inside of my coaching container and my sessions and my immersions is we incorporate somatic work through advanced theta healing and energy techniques to teach you. I actually help teach you how to communicate with your nervous system, how to interpret what you're feeling in the body with what your mind is interpreting it as, and to learn the subtle nuances of these energetic frequencies so that you can become masterful and be more deliberate and expansive and creative and successful with what it is that you actually want, putting more of your time and energy into moving through your edges. When you come up on an edge, we use that as a portal, as a place for you to actually step through to the other side. That is what creates momentum. That's what creates more expansion in your reality, and it increases your personal power and it increases your results, and you step into greater levels of prosperity and connection and meaning and purposefulness when you're able to navigate your nervous system and to use fear, because it's always going to come up whenever you're up against something new. There's always going to be an edge that shows up, and that edge keeps moving out and you keep expanding. The more that you can take fear as a base energy tool and transmute it by moving through that portal to the other side and creating the desire and letting the desire carry you through to manifesting whatever it is that you want. Remember, we're talking about either trapped power, where you're powerless, you're paralyzed, and just on the other side of that is creative potential, energy potential that's waiting for you to sculpt and mold and to create and direct. So next time you feel that edge coming up, I want you to think about how can you take that edge and use it as a portal, as a tool, as a stepping across, as a bridge to another world, to a higher octave of your expression. That's it for today. If you want to find out more about this topic, follow me on Facebook, follow me on Instagram at Chad Welch Lifestyle. I also have a blog post where I did a little bit of an in-depth article on this topic to accompany this video. I'll put the link to my blog in the comments. If you like this video, please like it, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, share this, and I'll see you again soon. Thanks a lot, guys.